Killer is coming out on Netflix next week. It is out now in select theaters, and I got the chance to see it early. This is directed by David Fincher, written by Andrew Kevin Walker, who worked with David Fincher on the movie Seven from 1995, and stars Michael Fassbender as a hitman. After a fateful near miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. The Killer can be considered a return to form for David Fincher. The Killer is cold and calculated and puts you right into the mind of Michael Fassbender's nameless killer. He's just known as the Killer throughout the movie. Puts you right into his mind and psyche and also into his shoes. It shows you his daily routines. And he does voiceover monologues as the scenes are playing out about how much he hates his job, how he has a specific game plan, how he can't go against that game plan, how he essentially can't trust anybody. He has no empathy for anybody. You really do get into the psychological aspects of what makes a contract killer a contract killer. You ever play that video game series Hitman? That's what this feels like. Just the way that Fassbender's character, the killer, is going about his routine in certain ways that he has to get in and out of different situations. He's a very smart man. The last Hitman game I played was Blood Money on like Xbox 360, the one from 2006. So the series might have changed up its style a little bit, but I just remember that there were certain ways you had to get in. There were certain different ways you could kill a target. You had to be careful because you could be spotted, and that's really what happens here. It almost kind of feels like that both the writer and Fincher played a little bit too much Hitman and we're like, let's just make a Hitman movie, but not call it Hitman. And I'll say this, though. This is definitely a better Hitman movie than the movie Hitman. He's meticulous about everything, and that's what I like so much about this character. You learn so much about him and his style of doing his job and what he actually likes about his job and what he dislikes about his job just through these inner monologues and the way he acts. He's very calm and collected. Even when something goes wrong, he's not having panic attacks or his anxiety isn't through the roof like it would be for me in a situation like that. If I were a contract killer, he's really calculating everything that could happen. And if something does happen, then he knows to stay as calm and collected as he is because he knows to do different things if something goes wrong. That's really the gist of this movie. There's a really great bare knuckle brawl towards the end of the second act of this movie in a house that I thought was really well done. One of Fincher's best directed scenes. Talking about Fincher, this is the best he's been in a while. He's so good with psychological thrillers. It's as good as any other psychological thriller that he's directed. I'm not saying it's as good as Seven, but it's definitely up there with that and Gone Girl. I think it's definitely a top 3 directing job from Fincher for me. Let's talk about those voiceovers for a minute because I think that this could be a movie that would be very off-putting to a lot of people. It's deliberately moving at a slow-ish pace. I'm not going to say sluggish. It does feel like it flies by for an hour and 58-minute movie. It does feel like it flies by, but much of that pace, I feel like people are going to go into this movie expecting a straightforward action movie when it's not. It's more of a psychological picking your brain type of movie. The violence is very sparse and spread out, but when it happens, it's brutal and it's visceral, man. But I also think that if you are somebody who is really looking forward to this movie and you may be a casual viewer of movies, I know for a fact that I know some of my coworkers who do watch a lot of stuff, but they're just casual watchers. Like, I already know some of them will probably hate this movie because they will say it's a little boring and it's a little slow. But that's by design because you're trying to get into the mind of this contract killer. Where I also think people are going to struggle and try to grasp for straws with this movie is the way that the plot plays itself out. It plays itself out as well as the pace at a slowish way. There's not multiple things or doesn't rack up the energy as quick as it possibly could. It's really slow in unraveling things. I could see the argument that people will make that this movie is just going from contract killing to contract killing to contract killing to contract killing, and they'll say that's really what it is. And you could look at it that way, but there are clues planted throughout all the other sections of the movie. It's divided into 6 chapters, one for each location that he goes to. There are clues in each location that lead to the bigger picture of what is actually going on. So if you look at it from that vantage point, you will realize that it's not just a movie that doesn't have a plot. It's actually the killer calculating what clues he has to collect to find a specific target. With the way it's structured and with the voiceover, I could see people being immediately turned off and say it's too slow or there isn't a story here. For me, I personally loved it. I think this is one of Fincher's best movies, and it's his best in a while. And Michael Fassbender, I haven't even talked about him yet. He is so good playing this calm, collected, calculated, meticulous hitman where it seems like nothing really phases him. And he doesn't have that much dialogue either. He's very quiet in this movie, and I love quiet performances like this. I really enjoyed The Killer with a full bucket of popcorn. Curious to know what everybody's going to think about this when it comes out on Netflix next week. So when you do see it, drop me a comment as to what you thought about the movie in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.